Hello. So today I'm going to go over some acupressure points you can easily reach on yourself for supporting us through the autumn season, the season of the metal element. So we just obviously came out of summer and then late summer, which is considered by some its own season, and now moving fully into autumn. And so that's associated with the organs/meridians, the large intestine and lung. So those are meridians that run up and down our arms. So the large intestine starts at this point on the side of our index finger and comes down along that bone of the index finger, up the arm and up the neck, and then ends either side of the nose. And then the lung channel begins at the edge of the chest, near near the shoulder, and then it comes down the arm along the side towards the thumb, so the radial side, and then over the radial pulse, and then to this edge of the thumbnail. So we're going to go over a few points on those channels that are good to support them, and particularly through the autumn season, where we might be prone to wind invasions, or also known as a cold or flu, and sinus issues, and can just be good points in general. So the first one, we'll talk about a major one you may be familiar with, large intestine 4, translated as joining valley. And so this one you can find, it's between kind of the bone coming down from the thumb and the index finger. So this is called the metacarpal. So it's, if you feel for kind of the two heads of this bone, one being this, the knuckle, and then you slide down it to where you feel that other bump, and then you're going to come halfway, and just on the inside of that bone is where large intestine 4 lives. And as always with acupressure points, you're feeling for a tender spot. So maybe you find it a little different than what I'm saying or what the books say. But if you're not feeling much in a certain area, you can press in more, you can use your nail. And if you're still not, you can kind of feel around in a slightly different area, but let that just at least be a guide point. So the large intestine channel is kind of coming down along the side of the bone, and in general the chi kind of tends to follow along the edges of the bone, but not on the bone. So you can feel for that, and this is a good point for anything to do with the face. It's referred to as a command point of the face. So anything to do with the orifices of the face, ears, nose, mouth, eyes. Large intestine in particular is connected with the lower gums, so any issues with teeth or gums on the lower side. And this is a good one to kind of keep up your immune health, and if you're starting to get sick, you can press on that point. If you've got a headache, this is a big one for headache. Some people use this point for calming, just for kind of bringing calmness. So a lot of different issues. Yeah, jaw pain, ringing in the ears, swelling, redness, itchiness around the eyes, so it might be due to allergies. And so, yeah, basically a good point to regulate the Wei Qi, or which is translated as the protective or defensive Qi. It's that Qi on our surface level, that it's our first point of interaction with the outside world. So helping to kind of keep out pathogens and to support that Qi. So large intestine 4, right there. And I also have a handout with this information as well. If you want that, you can message me, or you can send me an email at acupuncture.by.Michelle with 2 L's @gmail.com, and I'll email you that handout. So moving on to large intestine 20, which I mentioned earlier, the very end of the large intestine channel. So this one is right at the edge of the nose, and all these points are bilateral, so same location on both sides, and you can press on both sides. So large intestine 20, it's just at the beginning of that like nasolabial groove is the fancy name for this line coming down from the nose to the mouth. So just at the beginning of it, you should definitely feel like a little hollow, and you can get in there with your nail or your knuckle. You can also, so this is called welcome fragrance. So good for any like nasal issues, runny nose, stuffy nose, even loss of smell. But you can also take your knuckles and just run them down along the sides of your nose, where your nose meets your cheek. So you do it both at once. You probably need a tissue after that to help kind of clear out if it's like stuck congestion there. And so that, and then on a more of like a spirit level, welcome fragrance, kind of just being able to allow in newness and receive. There's a lot to do with like letting go with the large intestine and the metal element this time of year, right, where things are starting to decay and kind of pull the energy inward. And as the days get darker and we maybe become more reflective and kind of aware of the transience of life, and letting go of things that, it's time to let go of. And then the other part is to be able to receive and to breathe in new air and new inspiration into the lungs. The lungs have a really powerful spiritual connection. They're said to be kind of our link to the heavens, to breathe in inspiration. So on a more like spiritual note, large intestine 20, to breathe in new inspiration, new fragrances. And so moving to the lung channel. So again, the lung channel runs from this like very kind of edge of our chest and then down the arm along the thumb side, and then comes up to the edge of the thumb. And so lung 7 is on the side of the forearm, on the thumb side. This is a really common point. And if you take your 2 fingers at your wrist crease, line it up, it will get you at about lung 7. This is a little bit harder one to feel. It's in a tight spot between 2 tendons. So you can either just kind of press down on those tendons, or you can try to get in there with your nail in between. And it's also, if you just run your finger over, this is called the styloid process. So this kind of bony bump, you just run your finger down and then you'll land at about lung 7, which some translate as broken sequence. So this point has a lot of different uses, but again, with fall in mind, helping to regulate the wei qi, or the protective qi, and to prevent sickness, or if you do get sick, to release that pathogen. Also, this is known as the command point of the neck. So large intestine 4, command point of the face. Large intestine 7, command point of the neck. So if you have neck issues, neck pain, stiffness, large intestine 7 can be useful for that, to relieve that. And it's also has a big connection to the blood. So it can be a good nourishing point for those with blood deficiency, or other issues with the blood. So blood deficiency could mean a range of things, but tends to be like a restlessness, trouble falling asleep, and would have probably a pale, kind of thinner tongue, which if you want to get into that, you can go look at my videos on pulse and tongue and deficiency patterns that are all on Dr. Wu Healing YouTube channel. So moving on from lung 7, lung 10 is on this kind of like pad called the thenar eminence. And again, like we did with large intestine 4, feeling for the bone, we're feeling for the, now we're on the first metacarpal, feeling for kind of the head at one end and the other, and then coming about midway and coming just in from the bone. So it's roughly the middle of this pad called the thenar eminence, but maybe a little more on the edge. So just feeling in from the bone. And yeah, I usually use my nail to find this. And again, as I was saying earlier, just feel for where you feel an ache. If you don't feel a tenderness, or you don't feel as acute a tenderness in that area as somewhere adjacent, then go where you feel more of that like it's like a good ache. And you can just kind of press and hold. You can also circle. If you circle clockwise, that's like drawing energy to the area. Counterclockwise, releasing energy. So these points also can be used for just local stagnation. A lot of people get like arthritis around here. So if you'd like to just kind of use these points or points around here to release the stagnation in that area, or just to bring fresh blood to the area, go for it. And so this point, though, in particular, lung 10, known as fish border, is good for anything with the throat. So good particularly with like sore throat, loss of voice, cough, things that due to lung heat. So that could be like bronchitis, something that's inflaming the lungs. So lung 10, good for that. So those are a few points on the lung and large intestine meridians to support you through autumn. And again, if you would like a handout with this information, feel free to message me or email me at acupuncturebymichelle@gmail.com. It's Michelle with 2 L's. And if you'd like to stick around, I will do some Qigong now to support the metal element, so the lung and large intestine as well.